See here, my young apprentice. If enough force can be struck onto this column, go ahead and smack it, my dwarven Templar. You see, the illusion magic will fade, revealing our hidden treasures.
Looky here, Llyod. It seems you're not the only ill-nurtured dewberry in this forbidden land.
Hello folks, and welcome to Dice Chatter. Frostgrave is here once again, and our friend Karen is ready to mix it up with a bit of magic. Of course, we can't forget about Llyod, her useful and definitely valued nephew.
More like valued as goat turds.
Obviously, Karen is a bit fired up today, so let's get right into the pregame info and dive right into this battle report. Karen Crone, the Harridan, and her nephew Llyod are here once again, roaming the ruined wastes, searching for treasure and power. Her witchcraft will be on full display today, showing off spells like Curse and Brew Potion. Her warband consists of a man-at-arms, an infantryman, a crossbowman who has a nice upgraded weapon, a giant green frog, and of course a couple thieves and thugs to grab all the chests of gold. Today we are heading back to the main book because I missed a bit of one-on-one warband action. We flipped to page 151 to find the complex temple. To give a quick rundown, there will be no treasure placed on the table, but instead there will be 6 pillars lined up in the center of the table. If a fighter attacks a pillar, they have a chance to destroy the illusion, revealing a chest of coins, or take some damage if they are unsuccessful. Other than that, a pretty standard game of Frostgrave. Of course, Karen is not the only wizard on the battlefield in this game. Belevos, the Illusionist, and his apprentice, Dave, are here to stop Karen from stealing all their hidden treasure. It should be interesting to see Belevos manipulate the table with spells like Transpose and Blink. His warband is also a good mix of speed and strength, with a dwarven Templar to lead the charge. But can Belevos protect the treasure he has hidden, or will Karen and her cronies swipe some gold from the Illusionist? Let the battle begin. Before the match, Karen and Llyod need to see if they're able to conjure up a potion or two, an elixir of speed. Only Karen was successful with the spell, and she will give the potion to the thief on her left. So we begin the wizard phase, with Karen and her crew who got the jump on the deranged illusionist. The witch will start things off by casting Imp down the table not too far from Belevos and his crew. With a 16 on the die, she is successful, and this little red baddie will hopefully slow her opponent's ascent. The thief next to Karen will down that elixir of speed and now have a big standard movement of 9 inches and cruise down the table past Karen and her old ass legs. Just like the thief, the trusty man-at-arms and the crossbowmen will also push forward, staying near their witch in an attempt to put themselves in strong positions. The other half of the wizard phase goes to Belevos. Seeing the little imp not too far in front of his crew, he will attempt the shield spell on the infantryman right next to him. But a 4 on the die is unsuccessful, taking a single point of damage for the failed spell. Still warming up his mana, the wizard will trudge forward as well as the rest of the crew nearby him. The thief will head towards the bridge. The infantryman will run up and engage the imp for a future battle, and the Templar is going right where he needs to be, right next to his wizard. This will turn things over to Llyod on the other side of the table. He will take his 2 actions, one heading up the table to get in a better position and then attempt to copy his master, casting Imp down on the other side of the board. He needs a 13 on the die, and a 15 will do, as another mini monstrosity appears down the battlefield. For the rest of the 3 fighters nearby Llyod, they all will hop and run up the table, staying near the apprentice to activate alongside him in the next battle round. To close out the apprentice phase, we have a handful of activations. Dave, the apprentice, will try to one-up Belevos and cast Shield on the man-at-arms next to him, though a 5 on the die is quite the failure, and he will also take a point of damage. The apprentice will then move up the table, and all of his pals will follow suit. They will position themselves in front of the apprentice and create a wall of flesh and bone, staying nearby to activate again soon. The soldier phase will be a quick one. On Karen's side of the table, we have a couple thugs that will charge forward, getting closer to the pillars and hopefully some treasure. And just like Karen's leftover fighters, Belevos has a couple thieves. Both of these combatants will double move up and get in combat with the imp. Creating a clear path may be easier than avoiding the fight. And speaking of fights, the yellow imp will take its action in the creature phase, attacking the orange thief right in front of it. The dice are rolled, but both fighters have not yet come out to battle. Maybe the red imp, who is ready, will take its turn attacking the infantryman right in front of it. A +1 to a +3, and the imp surprisingly puts 4 points of damage into the fighter. This will then end battle round 1. All of our combatants are making their way up the table, wanting to get next to these illusionary pillars. Treasure is to be had, and to Karen's benefit, she gets to go first, once again. We begin turn number 2 with the wizard phase. The crossbowman will finish climbing this ruined pillar and use the feature of his vampiric crossbow. The fighter will take 2 points of damage and fire a blood-coated bolt at the thief on the other side of the bridge. And the thief is almost taken out in one shot, losing 9 hit points. Karen will then activate and continue the onslaught on the damaged thief and attempt to cast Steal Health on the fighter. She needs a 10 on the die and a weak will save from the thief, and a 16 beats a 14, killing the thief, thinning out her opponent's numbers. To finish off the wizard phase for Karen, the man-at-arms and the thief nearby, their friendly witch, will move. The man-at-arms will shift and cruise down the wall, still staying in range of Karen, while the thief with the boosted movement can actually go down and get in contact with the illusionary pillar. Combat automatically ensues, a +1 to a +0, and the illusion drops, revealing a chest of gold, which the thief will happily pick up. A good wizard phase for Karen. Let's see if Belevos can make some moves as well. The Templar will start things off by moving up to the imp and get a big boost in attack with his ally nearby. This dwarf will make quick work of the demonic foe and prepare for the next battle round. All the while, this gives the infantryman room to double move and get atop the pillar. An attack will commence, and the infantryman is successful. At least for the most part. The pillar will then vanish, and the infantryman will collect the treasure, but he will fall to the earth, taking 5 points of damage. This leaves the fighter on a measly 1 hit point, but he is still alive. Belevos will now activate, moving up to the edge of the wall, and then attempt to cast Fool's Gold on the thief carrying a treasure. The wizard is hoping for a 10 or higher, needing to beat a will save, and the illusionist has been caught off guard. Maybe seeing his ally almost die has shaken poor Belevos. The apprentice phase will now begin. Llyod likes his chances taking on the infantryman and will do as his wizard does, casting Steal Health. The dice are rolled, and Llyod was able to cast the spell, but the infantryman has a bit more fight left in him, willing the spell away from his spirit. Following this, the frog, thief, and infantryman will move towards these treasures in the center of the table. Only the thief has enough movement to get near a pillar, and combat will commence. It turns out these illusions are a bit weak so far, and another chest appears, falling into the hands of Karen's Warband. Though the apprentice phase isn't over yet. As Dave and his nearby pals can act, the 3 soldiers will double move down the wall in octagonal steps as a group. This leads the purple thug to fight the pillar, a +2 to a +0, and once again, the weak illusion breaks, dropping a bridge down to the earth. The treasure appears as well, and the thug will pick up the massive chest. Dave has yet to go and will move to the wall's edge, getting a view of the heavily damaged infantryman and the tough dwarven Templar. He will then attempt to cast Transpose, hoping to trade the fighters' places with a 12 on the die, but he rolls a 6. Though he will elect to empower the spell, taking 6 points of damage, and the 2 fighters are able to trade places on the battlefield. Hopefully the damage taken was worth the play. For the soldier phase, both of Karen's thugs will double move down the table and help block the thief who is carrying the treasure. The middle of this table is definitely a hot mess now. On over to the other side. Both of Belevos' thieves will attempt to deal with the imp. The orange thief will attack first, and the dice don't do much help on either side. The other thief in back will attack as well, and once again, nothing. So why not, for the creature phase, we just stay right here. The imp will attempt to poke back into the orange thief, and of course the dice, they don't want to roll anything higher than a 10. What an odd exchange. And this will then end battle round 2. Well, all I can say is this table looks a lot different now. Both sides have started to flood the center of the board, and a number of illusions have vanished. Though this time around, Belevos rolled a bit higher than Karen to start turn number 3. Things should get even more interesting. We begin turn number 3 with the wizard phase. Belevos will take his turn looking at the battlefield and cast an explosive rune. The spell is successful on a 12 and he rolls a 9. A little pokey stabby and the spell is cast below the feet of the nearest enemies. This will definitely go boom in a minute or two. The Infantryman who swapped places last round is the only other model to activate, and will move backwards, hiding from the peering eyes of Karen and her crew. Speaking of her crew, the crossbowman has a visual on the damaged apprentice. A vampiric bolt may be enough. Taking a couple points of damage, a +3 to a +0, and the apprentice is safe for now, as the bolt flies by the agile foe. Karen gets a chance to do some damage now as well. There is a pocket of enemies all squeezed together. She will cast the grenade spell and toss a +3 magic rock down by the 3 enemy fighters. After a series of rolls, only the thug carrying a heavy sack will take 5 points of damage. To finish off the wizard phase, the man-at-arms below Karen will move as well, heading forward to the hardened Templar and attack the foe. A decent roll from the man-at-arms, and the armor on the dwarf reduces the damage down a bit to 4 hit points. So begins the apprentice phase for Damage Dave, and he is the only fighter to act. He elects to cast Fool's Gold on the nearby enemy thief. He needs a pretty big roll and a crappy will save from the thief, and the apprentice has a bit of mana left in him as he manages to move the treasure back and behind the swarm of his allies. Good job, Dave. Over to Llyod and his nearby toad. The burly green creature will take his slow movement down the wall, and Llyod will follow the amphibian as well, though the spellcaster has a bit more energy left to cast Dispel, targeting the explosive rune on the table. This spell isn't really Llyod's specialty, but he manages a decent number on the die, empowering the incantation to banish the future explosion. On over to the soldier phase, where Belevos has a bunch of fighters who have yet to act. For the movements this battle round, we have a thief who manages to get a treasure off the battlefield, and both the man-at-arms and the thug will move up to the pair of thugs from Karen's crew. The Illusionist has managed to claim one of his treasures back, but we have a number of battles to resolve. We will start off with the cluster of 4 fighters. The man-at-arms will attack the thug across from him, and the dice on both sides were a bit lackluster. Belevos' thug just next to him will attack the foe across from him as well. And with an unexpected 19 on the die, Karen's thug slams back a killing blow, ending the game for another fighter. On over to the Templar, who is in combat with the man-at-arms. A +4 to a +3, and once again a bit of lackluster play from both fighters. And to end things for Belevos, beyond the 2 pillars are 2 thieves stuck in battle with the demonic creature. The dice are rolled a couple times, and unfortunately the duo of fighters only deals 5 damage into the imp. This gives Karen's leftover fighters a chance to act before the turn ends. The quick and agile thief will run forward and pick up the treasure that Dave moved from his friend's clutches, while the other thug will move up and take a chance fighting the enemy man-at-arms. A +4 to a +3, and both fighters miss their mark. But the other pal next to him will also attempt to strike with his axe. Same odds, but a different outcome, as the man-at-arms ends up taking 6 damage, going down to half health. Farther down the table, the Infantryman will move up and give his ally some assistance against the dwarven hunk of steel. If the hit lands, it may do some good damage, and an 18 on the die does just that. The Infantryman kills the hardy dwarf, finding that perfect opening in the fighter's armor. To finish off the soldier phase, the thief carrying the treasure and the man-at-arms who has yet to act will move up the table, getting closer to the table's edge, as well as some still hidden treasures. The creature phase will end the round with this little imp who will attempt to do some damage to those pesky thieves. And with an unlikely outcome, the imp deals a whopping 10 damage, which is exactly enough to delete an enemy from the battlefield. This will then end Battle Round 3. Belevos and his crew had a few great plays, but Karen and her crew and the unlikely imp smelled weakness. They took advantage. Belevos once again gets to start term number 4. I just hope he and his warband have enough in the tank to get off the battlefield. Turn 4 begins with Belevos being the only member of his warband to act. He sees that many of his allies have bit the dust, and he has little hope in gathering more treasures, but he has to try. He will cast Fool's Gold on the thief holding the treasure on the wall. The dice are rolled, and that number is a bit too low for the wizard to empower. Belevos decides to run and hide, getting out of harm's way. And speaking of harm's way, Karen and her crossbowmen have eyes on the damaged apprentice once again. The deranged ranger will fire a bolt at Dave. It seems second time is the charm, and the bolt finds its mark, ending the game for Dave. Belevos hides behind the green tower. Some may even say the man is a coward. He has witnessed Karen and her crew of baddies decimate his warband. Even his apprentice Dave did not make it out alive. Though even worse, he has lost so much treasure, so much gold and riches to discover again. It seems his illusion magic was not up to par with Karen's witch capabilities. The wizard flees and leaves Karen what is left on the battlefield, hoping to fight again another day. Karen and her crew took a little bit of damage in this battle, but the gods were on their side, saving all fighters for the next battle. Karen did manage to level up some of her abilities and spells this fight. She will boost her health by 1, make the imp spell a little bit easier to cast, and learn one of her grimoires, Bone Dart. For treasure, our heroine finds a good amount of gold, a scroll, Plague of Insects, as well as a magical weapon. This +1 fight two-handed spear will be given to the infantryman to slay with in the next battle. It's nice to get back into a standard game of Frostgrave. Good old classic wizard-on-wizard action. Karen really showed her strength this game, but I feel Belevos, our illusionist, still may have a few tricks up his sleeve. Maybe the wizard will make an appearance in the future. I hope you all enjoyed the game, and I want to thank you, the viewer, as well as my patrons for contributing to the creation of these battle reports. You guys are awesome. I love you. And I couldn't do this without you. So until our next Frostgrave battle report, I want to thank you all for watching, and of course, happy gaming.